Hello, this is Joshua for Frost Dragon Designs, and today I'd like to talk to you about my Aries Zodiac Cat hard enamel pin. This pin is part of Series 4 of my larger Black Cat RPG collection. In Series 4, instead of the core designs being based on RPG player classes, I've decided to base them on the 12 astrological signs. First up is Aries, the ram. So let's get into the design. This design started out as this quick little pen sketch in my sketchbook. It wasn't really intended to show what the design would look like in the end, but more of a quick mental note of that I wanted it to be kind of a stouter kitty riding a ram. You can kind of make out that there's an axe and a kite-shaped shield, but these weren't necessarily literal notes of what I wanted the final design to be. I started off this design by pasting in what I've now come to refer to as my standard cat head for the RPG projects, as well as pasting in one of the legs that I used on the Taurus design for Series 4. So these weren't necessarily designed in the order that I'm presenting them. But even before I finished the sketch that I'm basing this concept on, I really had to do some thinking about what I wanted this design to be. I knew that it was going to be have something to do with a ram because it's Aries, but I kind of had a couple options of what I could do with that. I could have had the ram being like it's a half kitty, half ram kind of hybrid, but I was already planning on doing that for a number of other designs in this series. Like the Taurus design is, I decided going to be kind of like a Minotaur cat. Likewise, I had already decided that I was going to have Capricorn kind of be like a satire, half goat, half cat type creature. So I really didn't want to have another half man or half kitty, half creature that had horns and hooves. It just felt very redundant at that point. My next thought was I could have had the ram as kind of a companion creature. I've done this a number of times, and I think it's a fun aesthetic to work with, but it didn't really feel right based on the few sketches I did of that concept. So what I ended up coming up with was I was going to have the ram be a mount. Now, I've also mentioned in other videos that I have previously played games like World of Warcraft, where rams are used as mounts by dwarves. And so that got me thinking maybe it's a dwarf kitty. He's already, in my sketch, he's already wielding an axe. And, you'll see in the final design that he does in fact have a beard. So he ends up becoming, the first dwarven kitty in this universe that I seem to be developing as I create more and more of these pins. But that kind of made this design have a couple different challenges for me. One, I'm not terribly familiar with rams as an animal, so I had to do some research, look at some photos, and try and get a handle on what exactly a ram looked like, especially a ram, rearing up on its hind legs. That was a bit challenging. The second challenge was figuring out how to make it look like our kitty hero was actually riding on this ram and not have it look awkward or uncomfortable or like he was about to fall off or something. So that was a challenge unto itself. I only have one other RPG Black Cat design where a character is riding some sort of a mount, and that was from Series 3, where I had the Starlight Druid who was riding a bear. And then another challenge for this specific pin design was the concept of a beard on a cat. So, I have several designs. I think they're mostly female designs, but a few male cat designs where they have more human-like hair. So that kind of set the stage for this being something that I was okay with as part of the aesthetic. But honestly, I've tried doing beards on these characters before, and I've never had one that worked well for me. I seem to remember for the Series 2 Warlock, I had wanted originally to give him a beard. I think that's in my sketches. I may have mentioned that in my Design Insights post when I did that Kickstarter. It was something I really wanted to try, but I couldn't find a way to make it look correct. So I'm happy that I was able to get a beard that I liked the way it looked for this Aries design. But I think part of the reason I like the way it looks is because I went into it with that mindset of this is a dwarf. It's a dwarf-like cat. And I think that's what really helped sell that the beard looked correct on this character. If he wasn't short and stocky and kind of like a dwarf emblematic, I think that the beard would look more out of place than it currently does. So now I've kind of set the precedent that some of the male kitties can have more human-like facial hair. I've probably set myself up for some sort of a villainous Salvador Dali mustache at some point in the future. Something that I've said in past videos, and I'll say in this one, probably in future videos because it remains to be true, I'm very much an emotional designer, meaning what I design has to elicit a specific feeling from me. When I look at things that I'm working on, I either have an uncomfortable feeling or a comfortable feeling. And if I feel uncomfortable, that basically just means like there's something about it that I need to change. And with this design specifically, because the sketch really was just a quick note of, hey, it's a stocky kitty riding a ram, I really didn't have a lot to go on in my sketch. I didn't do a lot of pre-designing with this one. There was a lot of exploring as I worked digitally to create this design. I didn't have any specific color concepts. I didn't have any specific emblems or imagery that I wanted to use on him. I didn't even have any specific cultural references, which was, kind of a challenge as I try to figure out, what is this dwarven kitty about? Like, what do they look like? What is the culture? What's going on behind the scenes? And I think that is a challenge of world building almost, because since this is really the first time I've had a dwarf-like cat, I don't have any previous designs to reference back to in my head and say, hey, this is something I've already established. This is kind of the look and feel of what this character should be like. Or it doesn't even have to be that it's going to be similar as a previous design, but maybe I could say, hey, it's a different culture than what I've already created. And then I'd know the visual notes to not use. And I know it doesn't come across in this video because this video is one continuous string of me working, but I had a lot of stops and starts when working on this and frustrations, just because the design wasn't doing what I wanted. Like, as I worked on it, I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. I think I probably completed 4 or 5 of the other designs for Series 4 while working on this. What I guess I just want to say about that is, this design was a lot of effort for me, but in the end, I'm really happy with it, and I feel like it did a lot of world building, because now if I ever want to do something with a dwarf-like cat before, I can look back at this and I can make decisions about, is this cat related? Are they from the same clan? Are they not from the same clan? Do I want it to be something similar to this, or do I need to do something that's very dissimilar to this to make them distinct? I just like that concept. I like the idea of world building. I like that this project is advancing the world that my kitties inhabit in ways that, a year ago I wasn't even thinking about. And I think that that's the power of using a new piece of inspiration to develop Series 4. And so I really think that using the zodiac signs is letting me build out this world in new and exciting ways. Please go ahead and like and subscribe this video. I will be having a new one every week, and thank you so much for your time.